Moving on from one-step equations, we're going to have a look at two-step equations. If you understood one-step equations, the next set of videos are actually going to be very easy. It's just a continuation of one-step equations, applying it multiple times. So if we have a look at the first example that we've got 3x plus 2 equals 17. So this looks a little bit more complicated to what we've seen in the previous video. However, we've just got to apply the exact same principle of inverse or opposite operations. Now, the trick with this is that we've got to decide which term kind of to get rid of. Now, the idea of multiple stepped equations, so 2, 3 variables on both sides, is to get x or the pronumeral on its own. Now, I could shift this whole term over to this side, but there wouldn't be much of a point. What I'm better off doing is getting rid of this 2. Okay, so let's always try and get rid of the term without a pronumeral first, and that leaves us with the term with the pronumeral. Okay, so if I remove this one over here, I'm going to be left with 3x, and then I can easily get rid of it. So let's have a look. Okay, I'm going to remove this because it doesn't have a pronumeral. It's the easiest one to get rid of. The opposite of plus 2 is minus 2. What I do to one side, I do to the other, like so. Let's do this. Okay, so plus 2 minus 2, that equals 0. So I've actually cancelled those out. Now 17 minus 2, okay, equals 15. Like so. Now notice, I'm keeping my lines. The equals go straight down. Okay, this, the answer to this, 17 minus 2, comes straight down. Okay, it's all nice and neat. Now I haven't done anything with 3x, so I'm just going to put that next to the equal sign on this side. Okay, I haven't done anything with it. That was my first step. Now I need to do my second step, because remember, the whole aim of this is to get x on its own so that I know what x is equal to. So let's think about it. 3 times x equals 15. The opposite of that would be to divide it by 3. Okay, times by 3, divided by 3. What I do to one side, I do to the other. Okay, like so. 3 divided by 3, that's 1. Okay, so I'm left with 1x. Remember, 1x, I don't need to write the 1. Okay, so it's essentially I've cancelled them out. Equals 15 divided by 3 equals 5. So to speed this process up, it makes it a lot easier to know your times tables. Again, what I want you to do, whenever you see a pronumeral, put some brackets, because we're going to substitute the value of x back in, like that. So 3 times 5. Now I always like these brackets because it helps break it up when we're putting it into our calculator. Plus 2 equals, let's find out what that is. So 3 bracket bracket plus 2. So see how I've literally just put into the calculator the equation, but rather than putting x, I've put my brackets. Now in the middle of my brackets, it's going to be 5. It equals 17. That is what it equals to up here. I know that my answer is correct and x does actually equal 5. So always substitute it back in. Let's come over here. Again, with this term, the k and the 5 are associated with each other. Let's deal with something nice and simple. This 4 doesn't have any pronumeral associated with it. It's on its own. We're going to deal with that first. It's very, very important. One of the most common mistakes that I see from students is that they try to get rid of this 5 first. Now, it's a lot of a more complicated process, and it usually results in getting the answer wrong. Let's start with it being very simple. Let's get rid of the 4, just as we did with the 2. Okay, it was easy to get rid of the 2. So plus 4, minus 4. What I do to one side, I do to the other. Plus 4, minus 4, that equals 0, so I've cancelled it out. 7 minus 4, that equals 3. Okay, I haven't touched anything with this, so I can bring it straight down okay, without touching it. So that was my first step. Again, see how I'm labeling my steps? This is a two-step equation. I'm labeling my steps so I can track my thought process. This is how your books or folders should look like. Now, k divided by 5. The opposite of that would be times by 5. So I'm going to put a little times by 5 there, times by 5 there. Now, again, this is really 1 over 5 times 5, okay, which would be a whole. Don't need to worry about that too much. 5 times 5, we're just going to cross that out. K equals 3 times 5, which is 15. So in this whole process, k in this case is equal to 15. Let's prove it. Okay, 15 divided by 5 plus 4. So again, what did I say? Put the prime numeral in brackets and then sub in the rest of the equation. Let's go back in. In the middle of those brackets, I'm going to put 15. I've got the answer of 7. That is the same answer as up there. I know that my answer of k equals 15 is correct. Now, looking at 3. Okay, this one's a little bit simpler when compared to 2. Okay, the first step, we can't do anything with the 2 until we get rid of this 3. Okay, so let's get rid of the 3. This is a divided by 3. 2h divided by 3, the opposite of divided by 3, times by 3. What I do to one side, I need to do to the other. Okay, so I've already times the 3 over this side, so I don't need to do anything with the 2h, and I'm just simply timesing the 4 by the 3. Now, 3 times 3, okay, because again, this is a fraction. So by timesing it by 3, I'm making it one whole. Okay, so I'm cancelling it out. Let's write the equal sign. 4 times 3 equals 12. And I haven't done anything with the 2h, so let's just write it like that. So going on to the second step, I've got 2 times h equals 12 times 2, divide by 2. Divide by 2. So h is equal to 12 divided by 2 is 6. Now, crossing it out, okay, 2 divided by 2 is 1. I've got 1h here. Don't need to write the 1, remember. Equals 6. Substitute it back in. 2 bracket 6 over 3. Now let's find out what that equals to. Okay, I've got 4. That is the same answer as that, so I know that this is correct. And for the last example that we're going to do today, very similar to this, okay, very similar to number 3, I need to get rid of this 2. It's the easiest thing to get rid of. So I'm going to be timesing it by 2, and then timesing it by 2. So that cancels it out. X plus 1 equals 7 times 2, which is 14. Now, x plus 1 equals 14. I've got plus 1. The opposite of a plus 1 is negative 1. Remember, the whole aim of each of these was to get the pronumeral on its own. There's no use doing anything with the x. Okay, what I need to be doing is getting rid of this 1. Now I do that by doing the opposite. So plus 1, minus 1. Okay, so that cancels each other out. What I do to one side, I need to do to the other. So I've got x equals 14 minus 1, okay, which is 13. Let's see if I'm correct. Okay, 13 plus 1 over 2 equals. Now, these may seem a bit too simple to actually warrant doing the brackets like this, but it'll definitely help when we go on to the more complex ones. So substituting my answer, I get 7. That's the answer up here. I know that I am correct.